Hi, I'm Brett Sowder with Remax Roots, and I'm very pleased today to have with me Bruce Burner with Benchmark Mortgage. Bruce is an expert in the VA loan process, and he's here today to talk to us about that process and how you qualify for VA loans and how a VA loan could benefit you the very best. So, Bruce, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Brett. I am Bruce Burner with Benchmark Mortgage. I've been in the business as of April for 21 years, all types of mortgages, but because of my military background, and frankly, from being in the business that long, seeing a lot of the myths that are perpetrated, it's really made me focus on the VA home loan program and why it's really a great program. And we teach classes to dispel those myths.
Yeah. And I've actually been in several of Bruce's classes. I always find them very informative, and I always learn a little something. It seems like every time I go in, because there are a lot of myths about VA loans.
Very much so.
You want to talk to us a little bit about who qualifies and how you qualify for a VA loan?
So basically, the VA home loan is for veterans or active duty, and if that could be any of the 6 branches now: Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Space Force. It can be active duty. It can be a veteran that served active duty. It can also be Guard and reserves. Of course, there's different rules depending on how long you were in the service, not which branch, but whether you were in the Guard, reserves, or active duty. It's 100% financing, 0 down. It's a great program. Usually the rates tend to be a little bit better than conventional. And frankly, it's a benefit that the veteran earn. My wife and I, works with me in the business, we have a saying that veteran signed a blank check to this country that included up to their life. And they deserve that benefit. And we're here to help them get it.
Yeah, and I agree with that very much. You know, some of the other programs, that we have some other government loan programs like FHA, and conventional loans, different things like that. But the VA loan program does offer a lot of benefits. You kind of touched on some of them, with the 100% financing and that. What about like some of the qualifying guidelines and stuff like that for veterans? Are there differences in that between that and like a conventional or an FHA loan?
There is. With VA, it's 0 down payment. With FHA conventional, you're going to have some type of down payment. And with FHA conventional and USDA, you're going to have some type of mortgage insurance built into that payment. You won't have that with VA. There is a funding fee with VA. But if that veteran, I'd probably say 70% of the loans I do, the veteran has a disability rating, that gets the funding fee waived. So if there's any negative to the VA loan, it would be the funding fee. And again, if that veteran's disabled, and we'll know that when we pull the certificate of eligibility, they don't even have that. So as far as the guidelines go, they're more flexible. They're much more flexible on credit scores than, say, conventional would be. Our official credit score that we go down to is 600, but I've done loans below that, quite a bit below that, because the deal made sense. And that's kind of how our underwriting is with Benchmark and VA, is that we look at it from a common sense approach. Debt to income ratios, there are guidelines on that, but there really is no maximum debt to income ratio. Not that we put someone in a bad position, but with VA, they have another calculation called the residual income. So we've had people in the 50, 60% range total debt to income ratio, but the residual income, this was all developed by VA, that they qualify. And we close those loans on a regular basis. I have one closing a day that's like that. It's a great program. I always tell clients and agents, it's kind of like, if you're going FHA, USDA, or conventional, it's like, why should we give you the loan? Prove it. With VA, the mindset's a little bit more like, you served our country, you wrote that blank check to this country. We want to find a way to make it work.
Yeah. And so one thing that you touched on is 100% financing. I've actually had clients, though, that have put considerable money down with a VA loan also, and they didn't realize they could do that. They think, I got to do 100%, but they want to get their payment down, maybe.
So yeah, you can do that, and there is an advantage. Like if you are paying the funding fee, if you put down 5%, 10%, that can lower that funding fee. So it's not like you have to do 100%. It is nice, because one of the things that we do at Benchmark, we look at the mortgage like an asset, and that we debt strategize. So if you're selling another house and you're walking away with 100 grand, you can put that money down on the house. But maybe we look at eliminating some other consumer debt and putting less down on the house, or going 0 down, but improving your cash flow. But there's just so much flexibility because right out of the gate you can do zero down, but if the veteran wants to put more down, they can.
Yeah. And another thing that we kind of have, as we mentioned, there's a lot of misconceptions with VA loans too. And I know that's a huge
How long do
topic,
you have today?
but but do you have a couple of the top misconceptions you want to touch on? And I had one. If you don't bring up, I'll mention
Sure.
also.
So there's honestly, that's one of the reasons that I focus so much on VA, because um, I've heard of stories where veterans get put into a conventional loan, they get put into an FHA loan, and occasionally there'll be a situation where maybe that will be a better option in a specific situation. But 9 out of 10 times, if that veteran is eligible and has entitlement, the VA loan is going to be the best option. So some other common myths, and I get this a lot, is VA takes so long. They're so hard. They're this, they're that. And none of that's true. I've got multiple VA loans that we've closed, 10 days, 12 days. The fastest you can do is 7. So I close those just as fast, if not faster, than conventional. And frankly, I got the stats. I normally go to the VA lender conference, but I wasn't able to attend this year due to some other commitments. But I got the stats. VA is, on average, is faster than conventional FHA and USDA as far as being time to close. Also had the fewest denials. All FHA, USDA, and conventional were all over 11% denial rate. VA was a little over 7. It was like 7.2%. Appraisal turn times. If you look at appraisal turn times from on 2022 and year-to-date 2023, VA is actually running faster than conventional. With regards to closing costs, you can actually get really creative on that. So I've had veterans before where, the deal was a tight deal and, they had some existing consumer debt. So we were able to use seller concessions to pay that. I've even done lender credits, not to get too personal, but I mean, I had a person that had a tax lien they were paying off, and we ended up paying that at closing through a lender credit. So there's a lot of creativity that you can do with VA. I could never do that with conventional or FHA. The other thing I want to address, because I just had this come up like 2 weeks ago, I've heard this 4% rule for VA on closing cost or seller concessions bandied about. That's a huge misconception. It doesn't mean if your price is 400,000 and 4% is 16,000, that's it. You can actually go over that. The 4% covers your prepaids, seller permanent buy down points, impounds, things of that nature. All of your normal customary charges, your title fees, and things like that are considered normal charges. Those are over and above. Again, it's not a hard loan to do. In fact, I would argue again that it's easier because I've had folks that they would have never gotten a conventional loan or FHA loan with the credit. Ironically, the average credit score though for a veteran is over 700. It's like 717 is the average credit score, and most of them have assets, so they could do a down payment. But why make them go conventional or FHA when they can do zero down with the benefit they earn?
And then what about one thing, I guess the thing I was thinking about whenever I said some of the misconceptions, I've been told before, that the veteran can't be reimbursed for like their out-of-pocket expenses that they have up front, such as home inspections and stuff like that. And of course,
yeah, they can get all that money back. We can use it through seller concessions. Ironically though, and this, I bring this up too, is like, I've always heard, oh, well, the seller has to pay for the pest inspection. That's not true. And it doesn't have to be the agents either. The veteran can actually pay for that pest inspection. Where it comes back to is what kind of lender you're dealing with. If they're charging 1% origination, then yeah, there are some caps on fees. But I typically, I don't charge lender fees on my VA loans. So if it's a situation where the seller is like, I don't want to pay for the pest inspection, the veteran can pay for that. And I know there's some contracts that they actually call for it, for the seller to pay, but that's not a VA requirement.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
It really is. And I've heard that too. So that's good information. So, before we started the video, Bruce and I were talking a little bit, and one thing about a VA loan is it is assumable.
It is.
With obviously rules and that kind of thing.
So my advice on that would be, if you're in a situation where you've got a loan and you're thinking about offering it to be assumed by another buyer, there's two options there. It can be another veteran, which in my opinion is the preferred way because they can use their entitlement, which frees up the existing veteran's entitlement. It can also be a person that's a non-veteran. So it's great, if that veteran's got a 3% rate on their house, and rates today, upper sixes, pushing 7, that looks pretty attractive. But again, no pun intended, I would vet every case on that because there are some rules and guidelines. Typically that goes back through the servicer or through VA. And I'm just being frank, like a lot of times the servicers aren't real experienced on it because, let's face it, we haven't had rates in the 2s and 3s, and then all of a sudden, in a matter of 12 months, rates went to 6 to 7%. We've been it's such a low interest rate environment for so long. So they're not as familiar with doing the assumptions, but it is available. It's a great tool to market. But again, each case is going to be case by case because the veteran needs to remember, know that if they're letting a non-veteran assume that's going to tie up their entitlement. So,
right. But it's an option that's out there.
It's definitely an option. And again, 3% sounds a whole lot better than 6.5%.
Yeah. So as an agent, we would just kind of look into whether maybe the property that someone's interested in, maybe they do have a VA loan that would be assumable, if we're representing the buyer. And then down the road, obviously, like you said, today's rates are a little bit high. But if as an agent, and if you're a veteran and you're watching this and you're thinking about buying a house, but maybe you already have a house that you have a VA loan on it at 2 or 3%, might be a great selling tool for you. And then, like Bruce would say, maybe find a veteran that wants to come in, and then you still got your eligibility and can move right forward on your next property, but make that loan assumable to that new vet.
Absolutely.
So just be creative.
Typically what I say on that to all the agents that I work with, and you and others, again, it's got to go back through the servicer or VA. But if you get that situation, because a lot of people don't know about it, just give me a call. I'll review it and I'll kind of run through it with the agent and the veteran as to what those options are.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a selling point.
Yeah. So kind of to recap a couple things with this, some things that I kind of caught with Bruce here. I know that, and I've had Bruce do this for clients for me before too. He's going to run a sort of a spreadsheet for our clients, for his VA clients, and kind of weigh out, the opportunities with the veterans with the VA loan versus a conventional or FHA. So he's going to make sure you see all the different products so you can make the best decision that you want. And I can tell you, as an agent with a lot of experience, I've had extreme success with my veteran clients using VA loans. I really can't say that I've had any more problems with VA loans than I have with any other loan program. And I've had, like I said, a lot of success using the VA products, helping vets, to get into their homes. So it's been very, very successful for me.
I would agree with that. And I think the key is working with a knowledgeable agent that's familiar with VA that can negotiate a great deal for the veteran, and then working with a knowledgeable lender that understands the nuances of the program. I always tell people it's not hard, it's just different. And it's a great program to use.
Yeah.
It's a great program in this type of market too.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to thank Bruce for coming out and sharing his knowledge. I really do consider him to be a VA loan expert. It's anytime I have a veteran, I think that's a good way to go. And I get a lot of compliments on Bruce. I just received one the other day. Matter of fact, I had sent someone over to him, and I got an email back, or actually a text back, and they said that they really appreciated me giving Bruce's name to them. So I appreciate that. I know Bruce is happy to help anyone with VA loans or conventional loans. Yep. And we'll put Bruce's contact information into the whatever that great area is underneath his YouTube videos, the description or whatever it is there. So we'll put you in there so people get in touch with you.
Thanks, Brett. I appreciate it. I know you had, and I love working with your all's team and referring people to you. It's been great to meet you.
All right. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys in the next video.